Hey, it's Matt Sherwood, and if you hadn't watched my previous video, yesterday was a really crazy day. I hiked Delta Lake in the Grand Tetons National Park, and it's one of the hardest hikes there. They don't even list it on the park's trail list because I think it's difficult and they don't want families up there or kids. And also it's bear territory. And I can't help but think about the reality and the gravity of the situation that we got into yesterday and just how I reacted. And so I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. It's really interesting. So when you're in Wyoming, in Yellowstone National Park and in the Grand Tetons, that is bear country, and they're used to it. Everyone up there knows that you got to have bear spray, and they know how to approach this situation if you see a bear. And you talk to almost anyone, and they've seen a bear at some point. And it's kind of crazy because I was listening to a park ranger talk about the history of Yellowstone, and I think as late as the 1970s, they used to actually keep trash cans in a certain area of the park. They would keep trash cans open to attract bears, so that people could watch the bears and view them and see them. And how that ever seemed to be a good idea is just perplexing to me. It's obviously a terrible idea, and of course they learned that people got attacked and people were, taking photographs right up close to them while they're in the trash cans. And obviously they did away with that because it's a horrible, horrific, ridiculous idea. But if you're in the parks, you're gonna encounter them at some point, and you have to be ready. And yesterday was one of those times, and it was crazy because we were coming down the trail. I had met 3 Bostonians on the hike. It was a really hard hike, and we're coming down the trail, and we all talked about bear safety and what do we do if we're encountered in that situation. And we all said you don't really know how you're going to react until it happens. And so here's the way it went down for me. So we're on the trail, and it's very narrow, and you're supposed to make noise. So if you're hiking alone, they recommend that every couple minutes you clap and you yell, and you just you don't want to turn a corner and see some bears there, but if they hear you, chances are they're going to scatter and they're going to get away from the trail. And the trails in the morning were pretty well populated, but in the afternoon when we were coming back, they were pretty empty. And we were just laughing and having a good time and telling stories and coming down the trail, and we just turned a corner, and it was Andrew on the front, then Anna, then Alice, then me. And Andrew goes, "Guys, there's a bear to the right." And we look over, and no joke, 10 yards away. 10 yards away. And without skipping a beat, I think Andrew said, "Guys, we got to keep going. Let's just keep on going. Be quiet. Let's just keep on going." Now I'm in the back. Okay, so I am the last to see the bear, the last to round the corner, the last to see the bear. And as soon as I see it, it looks at us. And let me tell you something, it looks at us. And let me tell you something, that moment is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's different when you're 50 to 100 yards away. I saw 4 bears the day before in Yellowstone, but we were 50 to 100 yards away. And it's just different. It's different. When you encounter one that close, it is a crazy experience that's even hard to describe. But my initial thought was, holy, it is that close. It's that close. And immediately just completely petrified, completely terrorized. My second thought was, I don't think we should go forward, I think we should go backwards. You want to put distance between yourself and the bear, but it was so close that it kind of didn't matter whether we went forward or backward. We were going to be putting distance between us and the bear. But Andrew's in the front, I'm in the back. So I had more time next to the bear when it is looking at us. I'm in the back, and I had to walk by it as it's looking at us. As soon as we made eye contact, I looked away. You don't want to engage it for too long. And those are my first 2 thoughts was, I think we should go backward, but okay, we're going to go forward. And the next thought was, I should take a picture. I had my camera around my neck, and I just can't help it. I mean, the thought went through my head. I thought, oh my God, if I could get this photo, this would be the most incredible thing. But the thing is, that would probably be the last photo I ever took. And that happens. You see deaths by bears in the parks and in hiking trails, and you'll see the person's camera and they've got like 3 photos of the bear charging at them. I know from experience that the sound of a shutter click on my camera is enough to spook a wild animal at 100 yards away. So 10 yards away, no, obviously that was a foolish thought. And then my last thought was, after that was, keep moving, don't make noise, look behind you. And then I see right in front of me, Alice got her bear spray, and she got her bear spray out and she took the safety off, and I thought, oh my God, duh, that should have been my first thought. So I got my bear spray out, I took the safety off, and at this point I realized that my legs are shaking. And as I was walking away, I was trembling, my legs, but everything else seemed fine. The bear spray, I was holding it, and I felt good about if it did start charging at us. There's a few of us that had bear spray, 3 out of 4 of us, and that we could ward it off. And I just kept walking, but my legs were shaky for a good 15 minutes after that. All of us were tense. We still had an hour to go down the mountain on the trail, and we just tried to keep ourselves amused. Obviously, I was in the back, I was looking behind us. Andrew was looking left, Anna was looking right, Alice left, I'm looking right and behind. And the rest of the way down was very tense, and we just tried to make jokes about it and ease the tension. But it was very uncomfortable, and I think Anna even might have peed her pants a little bit, which I don't blame her in any way, shape, or form. It was a really, really scary experience, and I'm just so glad that the bear was, entertained or somehow just totally into what he was doing at the time. It almost seemed like he was eating something, because he was sort of crouching down. He sees us and he looks, and then he kind of went back down to doing what he was doing. But I will never forget that as long as I live, and it's just crazy to think about. But you got to be prepared. You got to know what to do. I think we did the right things, and I just hope that none of you ever encounter a bear on a trail. But bring bear spray, buy bear spray. It's worth it. It could give you a chance to save your life if you're encountered in that situation. But bears, they don't want any part of you, just like you don't want any part of them. And so if you don't walk upon them into their personal space like we did, chances are they're going to go about their business. They are opportunistic, as people say, and so if you get too close, obviously they're going to think it's a easy, free meal. But just try to be aware. The national parks in Wyoming are beautiful, but just know that it is bear country, and read up on what you're supposed to do, and happy hiking. But wow, that was an experience I will never forget, and I'm sort of happy that I didn't completely panic and start running and screaming, but at the same time, I am a little disappointed that I didn't immediately take out the bear spray, which I had talked about in a video before I started hiking. But yeah, that happened, and thankfully I haven't had any bear nightmares, at least not last night. But I guess it makes for a good story. Good luck, and be bear aware.